Hello everybody. We'll be talking today about lesson 1 in music theory. So we'll cover the basics of reading music and there will be more to follow this one. So let's get started. First off, let's talk about the staff. Okay, this is how the staff looks. It's just 5 lines and there are 4 spaces in between the lines. Okay, this is very important and you will see the notes being placed on different parts of here. Okay, and so you'll see that the higher the note on the staff, the higher the pitch it will sound. A good example is a woman's voice when she's singing. Women have higher voices than men for the most part, and males will have lower voices. So we will be singing, in a lower part of lower notes of the staff than women would. Music notes are named after the first 7 letters of the alphabet, so they would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There is no H or anything beyond that. So it's pretty easy because you only have 7 different letters to remember. The first clef we will talk about is the treble clef. It looks just like this. It is also known as a G clef because it kind of resembles a G in a way. And also, if you look right here, we have a treble clef on a staff, right? What we were talking about before. And you see how the G kind of curls right here? It's over the G line. And we'll talk about these too. Each line represents a letter in the musical alphabet, as spaces do. The lines represent E, G, B, D, and F. I like to think about it right here as every good boy does fine. E, G, B, D, F. E, G, B, D, F. And then simply the spaces referred to as face. I just think about it, face. I like to think about face better just because I find it easier to teach my beginners that way. You will also notice that A is right here, and then as we go up just one note is B. We go up one more note, C, up, D, E, and F. If we go backwards, we're going to go down to G, since there's no H, F, and E. Pretty cool, right? It's pretty easy, don't freak out about reading music. Now there's another common clef, which is known as the bass clef. The treble clef and the bass clef are going to be your 2 most widely used clefs. Okay? And so the bass clef is used for lower sounding notes. And instruments, you'll hear like electric bass, even the stand-up bass in orchestra would use the bass clef. A cello uses a bass clef. Tuba in the band, baritone, just to name a few, throwing those off the top of my head. Okay, now the notes on here are slightly different. The bass clef, the treble clef was known as a G clef. Now the bass clef was also known as the F clef, and I'll show you why. As you can see here, the bass clef has these 2 dots. Now in the middle of those 2 dots, if you follow down, there's an F, right? Kind of like how it was with the treble clef, right? In between its little curve right here, we have the G. Now on the bass clef, between the 2 dots, is the F. I don't read the bass clef very often since I play the guitar. The guitar is read in treble clef. But you will find the bass clef being used, like in the instruments that I said, and I would like to read it. I like to think about reading it this way, A, C, E, G, because I remember all cows eat grass. It's just a saying that, it's pretty common out there. So all cows eat grass. And what's even easy about the bass clef, on the lower space, it starts on A. So that means you just go up the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Okay, pretty easy. we'll move on. Okay, the grand staff. Now this is pretty neat because it combines the treble and the bass clef. They are combined by a line and a brace. Okay, and the grand staff. This is a staff that pianists use and harpists use. I think those are the only two instruments I could think of off the top of my head. And so yeah, this is the treble clef. Basically, the left hand of the piano will be playing the bass clef, and the right hand, the melody mostly, will be played on the treble clef. Ledger lines. Okay, now these lines are just short lines added to extend the range or the staff either higher or lower. So for instance, as we can see here in the treble clef, we go F, G. Now A, ledger lines just help us indicate where we're at. So here's C, it's 2 ledger lines above. If it was just 1, it'd be A. But you could gradually see, it getting further and further away from the treble clef going higher. And same thing going lower. And it's still following the alphabet. A, B, C, D. The line would be E, and then the space would be F, right? Because we spell out face that way. Or the lower space would be F. And we could even see it right here. Okay, a lot of notes for you here. The bass clef as well, we're going to have ledger lines. And again, it's just in order. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Repeats. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Also, one thing to notice is that the grand staff right here, they can share notes. This C is shared right in between. This is what you call middle C. Okay, it's a very important note on the piano. It's right in the middle. That's why they call it middle C. So F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, F, G. You could see it. It's pretty easy, okay, once you get the hang of it. Okay, so let's review a little bit. We have how many lines are on the single staff? There are 5. Make sure you remember that. Okay, and that could be applied to either the treble clef or the bass clef. How many spaces are there? 4. Again, could be applied to either the treble clef or bass clef. Which clef is known as a G clef? Treble, because it makes that circular kind of motion at the end, right? As the F clef, which is known as the F clef, the bass clef. And if you remember those 2 dots here, let me see if I can pull that up. Those 2 dots, there's the F right in between. What is the word we use to read the spaces from the treble clef from bottom to top? It's face. F, A, C, E. Spaces bottom to top. The note names of the 4 spaces of the bass clef are A, C, E, G, right? All cows eat grass. Notes in space A, C, E, G. Remember, I like to just connect everything on here. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Even if I can't see it and I don't remember it right away, I remember the note adjacent to it, and that helps me figure it out quicker. The line through middle C is called ledger line, right? These are all the short lines that help us identify what note is above or below whichever clef we are reading, whatever staff we're on. Okay, now a couple of terms that I want you to be aware of. The staff, okay, the 5 lines and 4 spaces that music notes and other music symbols are written. A clef is a sign that organizes the notes on the staff. For example, we have the treble clef and bass clef, right? The only 2 we've covered. Grand staff is both of them combined. Notes are the oval-shaped symbols that are placed on the lines and in the spaces of the staff. They represent musical sounds called pitches. Okay, let's also remember pitches. Pitches are just basically the sounds, either high or low. And the ledger lines, short lines, which are added, I think I misspelled something there, which are added to extend the range of the staff when the notes are too low or too high to be written on the staff. Okay, and this concludes our first lesson. and I'll be going. I will go ahead and post up more. Excuse me, and I hope you guys enjoy them.